Department of Justice, Joseph Moreno. Joe, when you hear all of this, do you think President Trump views Whitaker as his personal fixer?
Anna, if that's the case, it would be extremely troubling, right? As we know, the Attorney General's dedication is to the Constitution and the laws, right? It's not to the president personally. And so the Attorney General, he or she is responsible for executing those laws without prejudice, which means that they do not put their personal views ahead of anything, including protecting the president personally. Now, he has his own lawyers. That's their job. The Attorney General works for the people.
The Attorney General, though, does, I guess, fall in the chain of command underneath the president. But should President Trump even be discussing a potential case that he's implicated in with the Attorney General or anyone in the Justice Department for that matter?
Anna, even giving the participants of that conversation the benefit of the doubt, right, it still looks awful, right? And as we know in the law, there's two things that you want to avoid. There's the existence of an actual conflict and the existence of an appearance of a conflict of interest, right? Even just the appearance of a conflict of interest can be devastating because it puts everything into question. It puts a taint on the investigation. So if, in fact, the reporting is correct, that the president is sort of lashing out to acting Attorney General Whitaker, it looks awful. And it takes an already traumatic situation for the country, which is this Russia probe, and makes it even worse.
And, of course, the questions that we all have is, how did Whitaker respond to the president as he's having these interactions, these conversations? We know Democratic Congressman Jerry Nadler is demanding Whitaker testify before the House Judiciary Committee as soon as Democrats take over in a couple of weeks. Could we get answers then, or is this something Whitaker would be able to claim executive privilege on?
I mean, what an unnecessary, debacle, right? I mean, this was all so avoidable. So whether or not Congress can get something out of, acting Attorney General Whitaker now, as this is all unfolding, yet to be seen. I mean, it is good that House Democrats will take seriously their oversight function, and this is exactly the kind of thing they should be looking at. But really, this was such an unforced error, right? This was so avoidable. Look at how this compares to how former Attorney General Jeff Sessions took care of it, right? He probably did not have to recuse himself, but he did, saying, I don't want the appearance of a conflict of interest. Now, he took a lot of abuse from the president for that, but at least he let those of us who are watching this investigation have some peace of mind that it was being conducted by officials without any personal stake.
So what do you make of the fact that Whitaker ignored the advice of a DOJ ethics official to recuse himself from the Mueller investigation? He says that there wasn't a absolutely must. There was no conflict of interest that was identified. It was the appearance, perhaps, of impartiality. He didn't want to be the person who then, sets that line for future people who are in his position. What do you make of his stance?
Anna, a lot of people are surprised that these ethics advisory opinions that are given are shoulds. They're not musts, right? We hope that the officials that they're being given to take them seriously and said, look, even if I think I can compartmentalize what I've said before or what I know from my official actions, there still remains this appearance. And presumably President Trump expects and hopes that he will survive this whole thing. Wouldn't we want him to survive it with the American people having some confidence that the Mueller probe was unimpeded, that it was uninterfered with, and that it was let run its course without any kind of undue influence? And the presence of acting Attorney General Whitaker throws that into question. It's completely unnecessary and unfortunate.
Joseph Moreno, thanks for being with us, especially on a holiday weekend. Good to have you.
Thanks, Anna. Good to be here.
Thanks.